If you enjoy emotional stories filled with betrayal, redemption, shocking family secrets, and unforgettable endings, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories like this every week. The day I married Sophia, I believed I had found the woman I would grow old with. She was beautiful, ambitious, and came from one of the wealthiest families in the state. I wasn't rich, but I loved her with everything I had. I worked long hours as an engineer while she chased a glamorous lifestyle filled with luxury parties, designer clothes, and influential friends. Our marriage slowly drifted apart, though I kept telling myself that every couple faced difficult seasons. Then her father, Richard Harrison, was diagnosed with terminal cancer. The powerful billionaire who had built Harrison Industries was suddenly too weak to walk across his own bedroom. Sophia hated hospitals and couldn't bear watching illness. She visited only when cameras were around or important relatives stopped by. The rest of the time, she was always too busy. I became the one who stayed. I drove Richard to appointments, learned how to manage his medications, cooked meals the way his doctor recommended, and sat beside his bed through endless sleepless nights. He often apologized for taking my time, but I reminded him he was family. Secretly, I hoped Sophia would notice my loyalty and remember why we had married. Instead, she became colder. She stopped answering my calls and frequently claimed she was traveling for business meetings. One evening, while buying medicine, I saw her walking hand in hand with Victor Langston, a flashy millionaire known more for showing off than for earning respect. They laughed together outside an expensive restaurant before climbing into his sports car. My heart shattered, but I still refused to believe the worst. Days later, Sophia walked into Richard's mansion and announced without emotion that she wanted a divorce. She didn't even wait until we were alone. "Victor can give me the life I deserve," she declared confidently. "I've wasted enough years pretending." Richard, sitting silently in his wheelchair, looked at her with disbelief. He asked how she could abandon the husband who had sacrificed everything for this family. She rolled her eyes and replied that kindness didn't pay luxury bills. She admitted she had been seeing Victor for months and planned to marry him after our divorce became official. The room fell into painful silence. Richard's hands trembled as he looked toward me. Instead of begging Sophia to stay, I simply wished her happiness and quietly packed a small suitcase. Richard stopped me before I reached the door. "You're not leaving," he said firmly. "This house still needs someone who actually cares." I stayed only because he had no one else. Over the following weeks, Sophia never visited. Victor appeared once, but only to pressure Richard into signing documents transferring company shares before his health declined further. Richard refused. After Victor stormed out, Richard called his longtime attorney and requested a completely private meeting. I wasn't invited, but I noticed stacks of legal papers arriving over the next several days. Something significant was happening. Richard also asked me strange questions about integrity, forgiveness, and what I would do if I suddenly had great wealth. I laughed and told him that money could buy comfort but never loyalty. He smiled quietly, as though he had finally heard the answer he had been searching for. Meanwhile, Sophia became increasingly impatient, sending messages demanding access to family assets before Richard passed away. She assumed everything already belonged to her. She had no idea that every selfish decision she had made was slowly pushing her father toward a life-changing choice. And when the final family gathering was announced, everyone expected Richard's last wishes to make Sophia even richer. No one imagined that the dying billionaire had been watching every act of kindness, every sacrifice, and every betrayal from the very beginning. His final decision would leave the entire room speechless, and change all of our lives forever. Before we continue, if stories about justice, family, and unexpected twists inspire you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who loves emotional storytelling. Your support keeps these powerful stories coming. The day of Richard Harrison's final family gathering arrived beneath heavy gray skies, as though even nature understood something extraordinary was about to happen. Every member of the Harrison family filled the grand living room. Company executives, distant relatives, attorneys, and close friends all whispered among themselves. Sophia entered confidently on Victor Langston's arm, dressed in an expensive designer outfit that practically announced her expectation of becoming the sole heir to her father's fortune. She barely acknowledged me. Instead, she smirked as if my presence no longer mattered. Victor smiled arrogantly, already imagining himself controlling Harrison Industries. Richard was wheeled into the room looking weaker than ever, but his eyes remained sharp. His longtime attorney stood beside him carrying a thick leather folder. After everyone settled down, Richard spoke with surprising strength. "Today isn't just about my will," he began. "It's about the choices each of you made while believing no one was watching." Silence filled the room. He described how illness had revealed people's true character. Some visited only for appearances. Some disappeared completely. One person stayed every single day without expecting anything in return. Sophia interrupted impatiently, insisting the legal documents be read immediately. Richard looked at her with deep sadness rather than anger. "You stopped being interested in your father the moment you believed my money was guaranteed," he said quietly. Her face turned pale, but Victor squeezed her hand, silently encouraging her to remain confident. The attorney opened the folder and began reading. Richard had established generous charitable foundations, employee education funds, and medical research grants. Several loyal employees received financial rewards for decades of faithful service. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. The majority ownership of Harrison Industries, Richard Harrison's private residence, and the remaining estate shall be transferred to. The attorney paused. Every eye turned towards Sophia. "Daniel Carter!" The room exploded with gasps. Sophia shot to her feet, screaming that there had to be a mistake. Victor demanded another attorney review the document. But Richard calmly raised his hand. "There is no mistake." He explained that true inheritance was never about blood alone. It was about loyalty, compassion, honesty, and sacrifice. He reminded everyone that while his own daughter chased luxury with another man, Daniel had fed him, comforted him through unbearable pain, slept beside his hospital bed, and treated him with genuine love when no cameras were present. "He never once asked me for $1, Richard said. "That is exactly why he deserves everything I spent my life building." Sophia burst into tears, accusing me of manipulating her father. Richard immediately silenced her. Hidden security footage from inside the mansion began playing on a large television. The recordings showed me helping Richard walk after physical therapy, preparing meals, reading books aloud during chemotherapy, and refusing expensive gifts he had repeatedly offered. Another recording revealed Victor secretly pressuring Richard to sign company documents while mocking the old man's failing health. Every light collapsed in front of the entire room. Even executives who had once admired Victor now looked at him with disgust. Humiliated, Victor quietly slipped toward the exit, abandoning Sophia without a single word. The woman who had chosen wealth over loyalty suddenly found herself completely alone. Days later, Richard passed away peacefully with me holding his hand. His final words were simple. "Thank you for giving me the son I never realized I needed." Those words became more valuable than every dollar he left behind. After the funeral, I honored every promise Richard had made. Harrison Industries expanded employee healthcare, funded scholarships, and opened free cancer treatment centers in his name. I never sought revenge against Sophia. When she later apologized, broken after Victor had left her for someone even wealthier, I simply wished her peace and walked away. Some wounds don't need revenge to heal, they need distance and wisdom. Standing outside the hospital Richard had dreamed of building, I finally understood the greatest lesson he had ever taught me. Wealth can attract people, but character reveals who truly belongs beside you. The woman who chased riches lost everything she valued, while the man who chose compassion gained a family, a purpose, and a legacy that money alone could never buy. And that is why the greatest inheritance is never written on paper. It is written in the lives we change through kindness when no one is watching.